Sorry, everybody. Hi. We're back with another episode here of with Caribbean Liquid Lunch, DBoss Real Life Matters, and Hugh. But we have on today, if you want to see that episode of with the other lady there, Angelita Elliott, you can go on to the YouTube channel and you could view that episode. But no, with other further ado, I know that Hugh is supposed to come in. With any other further ado, we have Darlene Montgomery, and she's going to talk about her book of dreams, Awake Yourself. Hi, Darlene.
Hi. I don't have a copy with me, unfortunately,
That's
because
okay.
I traveled. I actually drove across Canada in a van in October. And I had to, I drove across Canada by myself, if you can believe that, in a van to come out here and try a different life, a new life. So we're seeing it's challenging.
Taking a drive across.
It took about 3 weeks, because what happens after a while on the Highway 1 that you get onto across Canada is if it snows, they actually might close the highway for the whole day.
Oh.
So I ended up getting stuck in a few towns along the way to wait for the highways to open again. Yeah, so it took about 2.5 weeks. Yeah, 2.5 to 3 weeks. Yeah, it was a long, quite arduous adventure.
It's too bad that you couldn't have been on. It's too bad that you couldn't have been on a real vacation.
I know. I should have gone to Mexico for sure.
Yeah, 3 weeks on the highway, through a highway vacation. Gosh.
Yeah, no, that's not a vacation, and not at all, not a vacation.
It's a long
But anyway,
drive.
yeah, Dream Yourself Awake is not here with me, but that is the name of my book that was published in 2004.
Right, but they could probably see it on the website or something. But so
yeah, it's online. It's online. It's still available on Amazon, and they can get copies on Amazon. But yeah, I don't have a copy with me, unfortunately, but I can talk about what it's about.
Yes. Also, how did you come up with this book? What made you come up with this book?
Well, for 30 years, I was keeping a journal of all from the age of 18 up until the year that I published the book. I was keeping a record of my dreams. And at one point, I had a dream where I was with this spiritual being, and there was a circle of geese spinning around, like going around and around like this. And he took one of the geese out of the circle and he pulled a feather from the throat of this goose. Well, when I woke up, I had this really strange feeling around my neck. And it was like a dream that changes your life. And it's very hard to explain, but I didn't even know that type of dream existed that actually affects you on a physical level. And so for about 5 years, I struggled with certain physical, mental, emotional things that came out of that dream, and this feeling of tightness around my throat. Years later, I was out. I had planned an event that day called the Sacred Hand of God, and I was supposed to speak that evening. And when I went out for dinner, I started feeling very strange. And anyway, long story short, I had an awareness of what the dream meant. And I realized that the feather in the goose's throat was symbolic of a quill, a way that they used to write in, historically. They used to use the tip of a feather. And the goose symbolized Mother Goose, which is the stories that I was familiar with as a child. Mother Goose was the storyteller. Well, it wasn't long after that I ended up getting a job with a major publishing company called Chicken Soup for the Soul, who had published well over, at this point, over 75 books. And I ended up being hired with them for 5 years, where I read and graded 6,000 stories, edited stories from people all over North America. And I became really a storyteller. And it was my my destiny. It was my mission, that the dream was trying to say, you need to step into this role that you promised you would do. You came into this life with this sacred mission of being a storyteller. And so I got to tell many, many stories. And after that, ended that period with them, I actually started my own book series called Conscious Women, Conscious Lives, of which there are 5 books in series. And they're all stories from women about how they overcame obstacles, you know, found their life purpose, found their direction, and overcame problems in their lives. So it was like this one dream led me to where I am actually today.
Wow. Well, while you walking around with that kind of feather in your throat, that must have felt really funny. You know what I mean? And then you realize
was a very strange and very odd, and it didn't just make me feel physically weird. It made me feel out of touch with myself, and it was a very strange period of time. And then during that time, I also had another dream where I walked into a Chinese herbal store and I said, you know, I don't feel well. And the woman said to me, you have an Eastern parasite. And I'm like, wake up, and I'm like, what the heck does that mean? So again, 3 or 4 years of trying to understand what that meant. And it led me on this whole long journey of exploration to understand what was this Eastern parasite. And it was actually, I mean, if I could be so bold as to say, it was from a past life where I was a concubine. I found this out later when I traveled to South Korea, that I'd had a past life as a concubine. And I was carrying this, like this torture that I, you know, feeling completely worthless, absolutely like a nothing, right? Because you were basically, if you had a lifetime where you were a sex slave, ultimately, you know, you carry those wounds with you. They follow you. They don't just leave. They're still there. So there was a part of me that just could not allow me to have any good in my life. And the Eastern parasite fed off of me having difficulties, poverty, shame. Like it fed off of these kinds of experiences. So I kept having this repetition of difficult experiences. So when we have something like this, which a lot of people have these leftover types of memories, you have to figure it out. And so it led me on and on and on to discovery and, you know, becoming an author and going on television hundreds of times. So I kind of got over it, you know. I got over it.
So, okay, so in your book, what kind of the dream, what kind of things you can tell, you don't have to talk about the book, but what kind of things do you have in your book?
I have about personal experiences, especially, you know, what we call a waking dream. When you're out and about in your life and something stands out to you, like a license plate or something somebody says to you. For instance, I was with this guy for a very brief time, and I was kind of holding him. And as I looked over his shoulder, the television was on and it said, "You deserve more."
Ah!
You know,
well, I spoke to you right there, right?
Life will tell you what's wrong. It will tell you where you're settling, where you're not moving forward, where you're not accepting more. It will, and I kept seeing this sign all through writing this book, which was expect the best. There was like this real estate promotion going on, and they would send these flyers out, but I would see it on the road. I would see it on a sign. I would see it on a billboard. Expect the best, expect the best. And then I had this dream while I was writing it about this white BMW that was covered with leaves and just kind of buried somewhere. And in the dream, I knew it was mine. It belonged to me, but I had forgotten it. It was somewhere, but I had to uncover it. And that, you know, white BMW, it's wealth, it's abundance, purity. It's, you know, letting ourselves have more. And that was really a lot of what the Eastern parasite didn't want me to have more. So I kept talking about overcoming this, all the different experiences that I would have with different types of dreams and waking dreams that even movies can speak to us. If you're watching a movie and something in the movie really makes you cry really hard, you know it's a part of you. That's about you. Like there's a movie called Thunderheart where this guy goes to South Dakota, and it's got to do with a tussle going on between the local Indians and then this terrorist type of Indian community that's there. And in the movie, he says to this FBI agent who is starting to remember who he really is spiritually, he says, you came to this time to your people to help them. You know, the blood of Thunderheart roars through your heart. You know, and he says, you're as far from yourself as a hawk to the moon. And when he's speaking to this guy, I'm crying every time. Like I watched that movie 25 times. I felt it was about me. It was like, you're as far from yourself as a hawk to the moon. So when we're watching something and it really, like the hero of that story or the character in that story reminds you of you or something that you might have forgotten, deeply, deeply entrenched in your soul. That's another thing. I write a lot about how movies and are really there to help us remember who we are and what we're here to do, what our mission is, what our real, true life mission is.
So in other words, when people watch these movies and people start crying, and sometimes somebody else is not crying, what are you crying for? You know what I mean?
Right.
People don't understand what you're crying for. So that means that it's something that is within you that's making you cry in these movies.
It's reminding you of something you promised yourself, what they call a soul agreement, you know, a soul contract. You came here to learn to love or receive love or to be more or right. I wrote about a dream I had in Dream Yourself Awake, where I was in a room with this man, my husband, and I was laying on a settee. I couldn't see myself, but I knew I was there, and I was sickly. And he was talking to his friend. It was set in maybe the 1700s, you know, in a Victorian type atmosphere, maybe in France. And I said to him, you know, I'd like to write a book. And he said, no, that's not possible. And I realized I had kind of accepted this to have a normal life where I was just married and I didn't have to deal with anything. I had to kind of sell my soul and not write in that lifetime. I had to accept just mediocrity in order to be with this man and accept being there. So I had to pay this back. That's why I ended up writing 5, 6, 7 books in this life, because that was my payback. I had to catch up. I didn't follow through. I settled for like mediocrity, and it's nice to have a relationship. You know, I'd like to have one again, but it was important. You know, all the women that were touched when I wrote the books that I wrote, helping them to have a voice as well was very, very much part of my mission in this. Yeah.
So helping them have a voice. Wow. Because
by telling their story and sharing the story and what they struggled with, and how they came about it through faith. They came through it through faith and, you know, through creating a new mindset or through having a miracle or something happen that changed the course of their life. And that's what I help people to tell their story. Some women are already ready to tell their story. Others, you have to kind of probe and prod them. Like I would say, look, I can't publish a story if you don't tell the truth. You have to tell all of the details here. And so that would be like what I would be like a doctor going in to find, you know, the nugget of truth. And sometimes that took months to find those little nuggets with people, you know.
Yeah, it's true. When some people don't want to tell, then they're not ready. And then sometimes you might publish that part of the story, and then they have a fit because they're not ready. They don't want people to know about that.
Yeah, they're not ready to reveal. Yeah.
So they got to be really ready for those types of things.
Yeah, and I had like a dream that was an ongoing dream about a lion, that the woman in the dream said, you know, I can teach you how to train this lion So, and it had to do with having a voice. A lion is a leader. I was a leader, but I wasn't stepping up, and she wanted me to step up, this part of me, to step up, to be who I really, really am. And that's very hard for some of us. We want to be safe. We want security. But, you know, the book was pushing me, even publishing it. I went through incredible difficulty and questioned myself a lot before I actually put that thing out, because it tells the whole truth. It doesn't hold back. And, you know, I've had friends go like, I can't believe you published that, because it tells all the dark secrets about me, you know, what I struggled with.
And that's truth. Well, we talked about
total
that.
Truth. Yeah, it's total truth. And I had people who would call me from, you know, countries. One guy found the book in Amsterdam at a bookstore, and he said, I have this Eastern parasite. I have this. You know, a lady from New York, I have one of these. I have a parasite, or whatever that is. There's something that's going on and I just need help, you know. So it kind of also started me off towards helping other people with their subconscious, unconscious beliefs, you know.
So when you said you went to the store, the Chinese herbal store, to get something for this Eastern parasite, so did you get something, or you just helped heal yourself?
It was a dream, and she just told me what I had. She gave me the answer to why I had these bizarre, strange, awful things in my life where I couldn't let myself have anything good. I could not allow myself to get past a certain point. I was struggling. I was on welfare. I was like just at the bottom of the barrel. So this part of me wanted to help me overcome it. And dreams are wonderful because they will show us what's behind the scenes. They'll tell us the total truth. But I had to spend about 4 to 5 years. As I was learning what it was, I was also healing that part of me that couldn't accept more in my life.
Wow.
And there was opportunities in dreams, many opportunities where, you know, I was told, you know, you can go here, you can go to this new place. And it was like an invitation to cross from this life of poverty into a better life. But I would struggle with it. I would have like dreams 10, 20, 30 times with the same character inviting me into this new life. And I would hold back. And to really claim who we are, it takes a lot of soul strength, you know, soul strength.
Soul, yeah. I like that word, soul strength. That's a matter, you know, you got to have some soul strength. And, you know,
yes,
and
exactly.
Well, yeah, you know, it's you know, what Darlene and, you know, people that are watching Real Life Matters, she's talking about is, you know, soul strength, things that are dealing with the soul. And things that are dealing right with your, you know, your soul. And that's what she does. She does she's soul system healing, but she also wrote a book that helps you deal with that also.
You got it. You got it. You're totally right on. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, yes.
So you get kids? What kind of people come to you that have issues and stuff? You know, is it mainly women, or is it everybody?
Lately, it's been a lot of women, but I have had men come to me as well. But I used to work for a women's center for many years doing facilitation, so I got very used to working with women. And I feel like I had my books, Conscious Women, Conscious Lives. So my mission is a lot to do with women, and I'm a woman, so I understand what women go through, but I also have worked with men as well. Yeah, and they benefited a lot from it.
And what about young adults? Have you worked with them to also? Or
yes,
no?
Yes, I can work with anyone. Yeah, young adults might be carrying things for a parent, or even I had one woman who came to me, a young adult, who had an ancestor who had committed suicide. And after we worked on her and discovered that she was carrying this stuff for this man who had lost all this money and then laid down on the train tracks in a town that was actually the same town we were in when we worked on her. I passed through there on the way to Vancouver. And we didn't realize until after that we were in the same town, a block away from that where that man had laid down on the train tracks and died.
Wow.
Yeah, like like you wouldn't believe the accuracy of this stuff, and how I'm shocked at times at how much truth can come out in just a very short time.
And and maybe and something, there's a lot of gun violence now and stuff, and with teenagers and people. So do you think that a lot of this stuff could be coming is associated with their soul, maybe their past life, or something that happened to them, that their anger, like they're angry, the youths are very angry, and
right now?
Yeah.
It could be, but it could just be societal in terms of that they're carrying stuff. Like we can carry, say, stuff like we're Afro-American. Look at the history. Look at the history that is beyond, slavery and all of the violence. So sometimes the younger person in the family is carrying for. I had a friend who was mentally ill. And it ended up he was carrying something for his mother who was bipolar. Wow. And when we released it, he just went, like, he had been on full medication. He was mentally ill for years and years and years. And when we discovered he was carrying this for his Afro-American mother who had bipolar because of all of the stuff that had happened to her, he was able to lay that down, being this, loyal to his mother's mental illness, and start to have more normalcy for himself.
Right. Yeah. So, so what you're telling people, take your dreams seriously, because sometimes they're telling you something that you need to address. And what you're telling people, also is when you have signs, things, are telling you signs. Sometimes the universe will speak to you and tell you something. It's like you said, like you're in a relationship and it kept saying, why are you selling? That's not the one. And then you'd be wondering, well, geez, what's going on? Why is that happening?
Right. You're always given a warning, three warnings for every major occurrence in your life, like whether it's through a dream, a waking dream, or you might even be listening to a radio show and someone says a very specific thing to you. You're always given a warning, like you can avoid problems if you listen carefully. I was told in one dream, find a new accountant. You're going to lose a lot of money. My brother in the dream, who's very good with money, told me, and I changed accountants because I'd had this horrible accountant for years, but I just was going along with it, So for the first time in years, I actually got money back when I switched to a new person. And I found a much, much better accountant. Yeah, that was honest and willing to really help me and advised me really well on a lot of things that have helped me even up into this day. So if you listen to a dream, it can help you find your life purpose. It can help you avoid problems. It can tell you what the backstory is with the person you're with, what they're really all about, why they're acting the way they're acting, and that it really doesn't have anything to do with you. And how to, that you might be better off avoiding that person or not having a close relationship with them, because you can't help every single person. I think we think we're going to rescue a lot of people. You can't, and you may end up taking on their problem and having to work it through for yourself. And why would you want to take on someone else's problem? It doesn't help them.
All right. Well, can you tell everybody where they can get this book? Because, it's Christmas, the holidays, and New Year.
Well, it's on Amazon still. I don't have a copy here, so sorry, I can't mail you one. But look on Amazon.com or Amazon.ca. There's still some copies out there. There's probably maybe 25 copies left out there. Some of them are like $900, if you can believe that. I couldn't believe it. But I'm sure you can find one for less. If they ask me for one, I won't be able to send it to them. But I believe there are copies out there. Dream Yourself Awake. And if not, I guess I don't even have the email of the copy. I was going to say I could give them a PDF, but I can't really do that right now either. So you have to find it online.
Okay. And you can go to your website also and look for your other books, so you have other books there also.
I think the website actually does have a download of the PDF actually now that, so they could order it from lifedreams.org, a PDF version of it. And yes, that way I can send them a copy. Yeah.
Well, Darlene, I do want to thank you. The time's up.
Okay, that was amazing.
It goes quick when you're on here because it's something that's deep, that, you know, and real life matters. You're talking about matters and dreams, and you know, you know what I try to do is give back, to let you give back to people, because people want to hear these things. You know, these are things that matters that people don't want to hear about. Oh God, I dreamt this. What is that? You know, but now you're telling us, look, your dreams give answers and stuff. So, Darlene, I do want to thank you for coming on another episode today of Real Life Matters. People, follow me. You know, watch the YouTube channel, DBoss, you know, subscribe and all that. Follow me on Instagram. Get the book for Darlene. If you could reach out to her, just reach out to her by the email, you know, and you could just, you'll find her. So anyways, I do want to thank you, and thank all my people that are watching all over the place there. So bye for now.
Thank you.